Hello, and welcome to Scream Scene, the horror movie podcast where we watch every horror movie ever made in chronological order, and then we rank them from best to worst. My name's Ben.
And I'm Sarah.
Thank you for listening to us today. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. We've had a couple of false springs.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it is snowing yet again.
Yeah.
But that is okay. How are you doing?
Sarah, for some reason it feels like it's been a really long time since we've done an episode, but like it's just been the normal amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been forever since we've done this, but I don't know what happened in the last 2 weeks that makes it feel like such a long stretch of time for me. Also, I've been thinking a lot lately about how long we've been doing this for. And it's like
a long time.
It's a really long time. Yeah.
This is episode 346.
Wow. And we're going to keep doing this for like a really long time.
A very long time.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just got me feeling a kind of way, I guess.
Wistful?
Wistful. Yeah. I think that's maybe a good description. But I'm really happy that we've got such a nice devoted audience of listeners out there.
Yes. Shout out to all of our listeners. Shout out to our folks on Patreon. No new patrons to thank, but shouting out the cool folks anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. We really, really appreciate you.
I've been working for like months on a new audiobook adaptation to put up on Patreon. The goal originally was to have it up for like Christmas because you tell spooky stories around Christmas. That has clearly not happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are hard and can't be done. But my personal goal is to have it done in April because then that's 6 months from Halloween.
Got it.
Mental illness. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, what are we watching today, Ben? Is it thematic in any sort of way to this conversation?
I mean, I would say that the lead character is mentally ill.
Oh, well, there you go.
But that's sort of common in horror. Tonight's film is L'ORRIBILE Segreto del DR Hitchcock from 1962. That's The Horrible Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, directed by Riccardo Freda.
I didn't know Hitchcock had a doctorate.
Yeah, so Hitchcock's just like a name, right? It's just like a normal person's name. But certainly by 1962, like the most famous Hitchcock is Alfred Hitchcock. And he has this reputation. Certainly Psycho has like boosted his reputation into being like a horror director, whereas he was sort of a thriller director before that. And so there's definitely like some asylum films like trading off of the names of popular things and like putting them in their movie, like, kind of idea.
Yeah, we had a movie where there was a like Dr. Nietzsche.
Yeah, well, and then there was Awful Dr. Orloff, and that sort of...
Yeah, but Orloff is just I don't know any famous Orloffs.
Right, but it's like... it's got like that Karloff kind of sound to it, right?
I guess.
In this case, in the Italian title at least, Hitchcock is spelt without a T. It's not like you can copyright names, like trademark names. Like I don't
tell
think,
that to Disney.
I guess. I don't think like they needed to do that, but it's just a weird little detail that I thought I would bring up, that there's no T in Hitchcock in this case. And it's, I think they're just trying to like play off people's associations of the name Hitchcock, especially like in Europe, where it's just like, oh yeah, Hitchcock, that's a horror kind of name, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, so Riccardo Freda, we've seen stuff from Freda before.
Yeah.
In fact, Riccardo Freda had directed the first Italian sound horror movie, I Vampiri, back in 1957 with the help of cinematographer Mario Bava. And that film ranked number 113 on the list currently.
Pretty good.
In 1959, Freda and Bava followed it up with Kaltiki, which
is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it ranks number 60 on the list. So some pretty good stuff. Since then, Freda has mostly concentrated on the popular sword and sandals genre, or the peplum genre, as it was sometimes called. So like movies about like Samson and mythology and like, you know, that kind of stuff, like historical fantasy movies, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, of course, Bava went on to make La Maschera del Demonio in 1960, which ranks number 26 on the list. So with more and more horror films being made in Italy, Freda has returned, though the title here suggests something made in response to Jess Franco's The Awful Dr. Orloff. The original title of this film was not Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, and there are in fact 3 different stories about how this movie came to be.
When was Horrible Orloff?
Awful Dr. Orloff was earlier this year, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like enough time that you can change the title.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So producer Luigi Carpentieri says that this movie got started when he phoned screenwriter Ernesto Gastaldi and asked him to adapt a giallo story that he liked called Spectral. Gastaldi then wrote a treatment titled Raptus, which added necrophilia to the story for reasons that Gastaldi doesn't quite remember.
Sorry. That's just very funny to me.
Yeah, he thinks that maybe producer Ermanno Donati asked him to add it in order to like push boundaries. Like, how do we get, you know, our horror movie to be the most, you know, talked about one kind of idea, right?
Sure.
So that's Carpentieri's story. Riccardo Freda's story is that he claims he came up with the story idea and that he'd been like nursing it along for a few years and that it was really like his baby. And then he gave it to Gastaldi to write the screenplay after Freda came up with the story.
And he's also very confused why necrophilia was included here.
Gastaldi's own recollection is that
they wanted the necrophilia.
Gastaldi's own recollection is that he and producer Donati wrote the screenplay before Freda was hired and gave Freda the completed script. And Donati said, let's see if you have the balls to shoot this. It's got corpses in it. And Freda didn't even read the script. He just replied, as long as I'm paid, I will shoot the phone book. So who knows?
Sure.
We've previously seen Gastaldi's work as the writer of L'amante del vampiro and Lycanthropus. That's The Vampire and the Ballerina and Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory, to use the English titles. As was common with Italian horror movies of this period, efforts were made to try and disguise it as a British film to make it look like a Hammer horror. For example, Riccardo Freda is credited as Robert Hampton, and the film cast English actors in the lead parts to, again, give it that Hammer feel. The film's leading lady is Barbara Steele, who, we saw her in La Maschera del Demonio, aka Black Sunday, as well as in Roger Corman's The Pit and the Pendulum. This was her next film, released after Pit and the Pendulum, her second Italian film released, although actually she shot this during a 10-day gap she had during the shooting of Federico Fellini's 8½.
Okay. They made this movie pretty quick then.
Yeah. 8½ wouldn't get finished and released until the next year, 1963. But she's in it as the lead character's like new girlfriend. English actor Robert Flemyng would be her co-star in this movie. He was born Benjamin Arthur Flemyng in Liverpool in 1912. And he initially studied medicine before abandoning it in favor of theater at age 19. He acted on stage successfully through the 1930s, became a very well-respected British stage actor, and he rose to become one of the youngest Royal Army colonels at age 33 at the end of World War II. So he served with distinction, got, medals and stuff. After the war, he continued his stage career, but he did begin to appear in film adaptations of his stage roles. Regardless, his film career was always second to his stage work, for which he continued to receive acclaim through the 1950s and 60s.
That's pretty typical for British actors.
He accepted the role in Raptus because he liked the opportunity it gave him to travel to Rome.
I mean, yeah.
After he read the script and discovered it was about necrophilia, he'd tried to back out of it, but his agent informed him it was too late as the contract had already been signed.
What are you gonna do?
When Flemyng learned that American actress Harriet Medine, who was about his same age, was also appearing in the film, he suggested to her that they both act so badly that the film would never be released.
So sabotage.
Yeah. After this movie, Flemyng would continue his stage career, his reputation unharmed, until 1992, passing away 3 years later at age 83.
Until 1992, when his reputation plummeted.
No, just he was old. He passed away.
He passed away.
But, so like this didn't really hurt him in the way that he feared. As normal for a mixed nationality cast in an Italian production of this era, each actor spoke their lines in their own language on set. So the principal actors were English, and then your supporting cast was Italian.
Oh, yes. A very strong ADR industry in Italy.
Yeah, no kidding. The film was shot in about 14 days on a 96 million lira budget, with long 18-hour shoot days powered by sambuca and coffee, and 3 crews working simultaneously to take best advantage of the short schedule.
Wow.
Disagreements between Freda and the producers led to alternate versions of scenes being shot. More or less gore, more or less nudity, with the alternative versions being shot by the alternate crews after Freda finished shooting his version.
A little bit like the Spanish Dracula.
Yeah, a little bit, except with the same cast every time, right?
Yeah.
So Freda's coming in and shooting like a 6-hour day, right? And then like 2 other crews are then coming in for 6-hour days shooting alternate versions of what he just shot that day. And the cast is working an 18-hour day doing all the alternate versions.
At some point, the actors must just be like, which one was my best take? Which one will get used?
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, except for the Flemyng
Yeah.
guy, he's just making it bad the whole way through.
This film was shot in color, in Technicolor and widescreen, so like high production value, at least in the look of the film. And despite publicity claims in interviews from both the director and the producers, Italian censors did not demand any cuts from this movie when it was submitted to the censor board. Instead, the film became the first to receive the new VM18 rating in Italy's brand new rating system.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Do you know what the VM stands for?
I don't. Something in
V
Italian.
mature.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Something in Italian, I'm sure. It was released in Italy on June 30th, 1962 as L'ORRIBILE Segreto del DR Hitchcock, and it grossed 142 million lira. It was a box office hit.
Nice. Italians want that necrophilia.
It was such a hit that I forget the name of it, but a Spanish film that got released in Italy later this year got its title changed in Italy to The Assassination of Dr. Hitchcock in order to try and play it off like it was a sequel.
Wow.
When it was completely unrelated.
Yeah.
So an English language version of the film called Raptus, The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, was prepared by the film's producers with the English cast dubbing themselves in English like you'd expect, right? And the producers offered this version to AIP for release in the United States. But AIP believed there was just no way that they could cut the film down successfully enough in order to make it acceptable to U.S. theaters and audiences and exhibitors.
Americans were like, there's too much necrophilia in here.
No. AIP was like, there's nothing we can do. So the Raptus version of the movie, Raptus, The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, was never actually theatrically released anywhere. It would not be until October 1964 that it would be released in the US as just The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock on a double feature with The Awful Dr. Orloff. And this version was cut down to 76 minutes, so about almost 10 minutes cut out of the movie, with a lot of the scenes rearranged and a new English dub to alter the story so that it could soften some of that taboo subject matter.
Okay.
This version was then released in Britain the next year in 1965 as The Terror of Dr. Hitchcock. So maybe that's why it didn't hurt Robert Fleming's career and reputation too much, is that like he shot it in 1962 and it didn't come out for 3 years. So by then it's like, And
it got way softened by then. Where is Hitchcock in his career at this point? I'm just really curious.
Alfred?
Yeah.
I mean,
he probably got a good chuckle out of this.
Maybe if he bothered to go watch it. I mean, he's doing The Birds and Marnie and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious. I don't know if he would have gone to see it, maybe, but I think he would have gotten a chuckle out of his name getting used like that.
Yeah, I think so. So reviews of the truncated English version, The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, were negative. The New York Times, when talking about the double feature, said that this was one of the first times where the adjectives in a movie's title were fully accurate, horrible and awful. While European reviews of the original Italian cut praised the art direction, cinematography, and cast performances, although the film's, quote, hymn to necrophilia was questioned from all sides, with many expressing disbelief that the film was released at all.
Wow. Yeah, not surprised that a movie that gets chopped up and rearranged does poorly.
Yeah, no kidding. So today, the film is available from Vinegar Syndrome on 4K and Blu-ray. That's the version I would recommend people seek out because that release has 3 versions of the film on it. You can watch L'Orribile Segreto del Dr. Hitchcock, the Italian cut in Italian, or you can watch Raptus, The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, which is the Italian cut in English, or you can watch The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, the US cut in English. For today, we're going to be watching Raptus, The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, because we want that original uncut Italian version. But, given that the main roles are all played by English actors, I figured watching the uncut Italian version with the English audio makes the most sense.
Sure.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say about this movie, Sarah.
I'm sure we will be enraptured. And hopefully folks can find a copy to watch along. You're going to hear a brief musical interlude, and when we come back, we will discuss L'Orribile Segreto del Dr. Hitchcock from 1962, directed by Riccardo Freda.
See you on the other side, everybody.
Welcome back to Scream Scene. We just finished watching L'Orribile Segreto del Dr. Hitchcock, aka The Horrible Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, aka Raptus, The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, directed by Riccardo Freda from 1962. Ben?
I really liked this, actually. I wasn't expecting this to be good, and I thought this was pretty dope, actually.
I agree. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I very much enjoyed this, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Nice.
Yeah, I know you had said that, they're going to be, copying Hammer Horror or, doing these things, and yet I was like, we're set in London? I was like, what? I just fully expected that we would be in Italy, but
the opening credits, we mentioned this in the intro about everyone has an English name, Riccardo Freda is Robert Hampton, but it's pretty good like the English names that some people have. Like a lot of them are normal, but there are some that are like in the category of like Italians not quite knowing what a normal English name is, like Evar Simpson.
Yeah, the spelling, the use of Y's is fun. Okay, let me tell the folks at home what happens in this movie.
For sure.
So we open in 1885 London, and we see a gravedigger getting attacked. An unseen man attacks him and then opens the coffin and fondles the dead woman's body that lies inside. Luckily, that gravedigger is rushed to the hospital and treated by Dr. Bernard Hitchcock, and there are lines of dialogue that say that the gravedigger was saved thanks to Dr. Bernard's unique aesthetic. Oh, sorry. Unique anesthetic.
Much better. He wasn't saved by the doc's fashion sense.
When Dr. Bernard heads home, he and his wife Margareta plan for some adult sexy time, where she willingly allows him to inject her with that anesthetic so he can get it on. One night, he uses too much anesthetic and she dies. So she is entombed in the family crypt. Bernard can't stand to be in the house anymore, so he leaves it in the care of the housekeeper, Martha. Now cut to 12 years later, he has remarried. His new wife is named Cynthia, and they are returning to the home. Now, the movie kind of explains some of this later on in different dialogue scenes. There's also some inference that you need to do for this movie.
It shows, it doesn't tell.
Yeah, it should tell a little bit more, but that's okay. So Cynthia, her backstory is that she had been in a sanitarium after the shock of her father's death. And that's where she and Bernard met and fell in love. And here we are. She's 20. He's like 60. He's old.
Yeah.
So they return to the house, but it's been 12 years and the estate is overgrown. It's pretty spooky. It's all dusty inside, despite the fact that Martha has in fact been here taking care of the place.
Yeah, she's not been fucking earning her keep the last 12 years, if you ask me.
So the house is spooky, including the fact that when they first arrive, there are some screams being heard. But Martha explains that, no, that's my sister. She's being sent to the asylum tomorrow, so don't worry about it. Between strange noises and seeing things, like the spectral white shoes of a ghost, Cynthia believes that the ghost of Margareta is haunting her. Meanwhile, Bernard heads back to work at the hospital. There are comments of he just doesn't have the skills like he used to. He refuses to use the anesthetic anymore after accidentally killing his wife. And he also struggles to not fall into necrophilia again.
But those bodies in the morgue are so tempting. Those voluptuous
stone cold bodies. So eventually, Bernard's temptation grows too strong, and he ends up in kind of a fever using the anesthetic on Cynthia. Now, Cynthia, for her part, she had been out wandering the grounds, scared, trying to find the ghost. She had fainted and was found, and so she was recovering. He uses the anesthetic on her. It's clear that he has sex with her in this state. She has kind of waking lucid dream where she does end up scratching him. He appears to her as if he has a monstrous face. It's a very neat nightmarish sequence. So she doesn't fully know what's happened, but she knows that after waking up, something weird has happened. And she begins to be very paranoid about Bernard planning to kill her. To this end, since they've been back in London, she has made friends with one of Bernard's colleagues. I don't remember his name. Kurt, there we go. And so she goes to Kurt when she's in the midst of this paranoia.
It's not paranoia if they're actually trying to kill you.
Bernard brings her a glass of milk. We see that he has poured nearly an entire bottle of poison into this glass of milk. And she seemingly drinks it. Turns out she actually dumped it into a flower vase and then brought the remnants of the milk to Kurt to test it, to be please, either verify that this is happening or confirm to me that he's right, that I am just relapsing with my mental health issues. Relapse is maybe not the best word there, but yes, that my mental health issues have come back. So he goes to test it. Their conversation is briefly interrupted by Bernard coming back to the hospital and going, "Cynthia, why are you here? Come back to the house." And she essentially gets locked inside the house, despite packing and trying to run away. As she is trying to get out of the house, she sees a coffin with her name on it and faints. Next thing we know, she awakes entombed in the family crypt in the coffin, but manages to break free. And in the crypt is when she is attacked by Margaretta's ghost, who ends up not being a ghost at all.
And Margaretta, who did not die.
So she, in spooky voice and all this, explains that the anesthetic had only given the illusion of death, and the experience of waking up in the coffin and calling out for help and, Martha coming to rescue her drained her of her vitality. So now she is an old woman.
Yeah, so at the start of the movie, Margaret was in her mid-20s. Same rough age as Cynthia is now. It's been 12 years. So Margaret should be late 30s, early 40s at most, but she now looks decrepit, she's 20 years older than Dr. Hitchcock is.
So Cynthia runs away from this very old woman just in a bridal gown, chasing her through these corridors. And Cynthia is caught by Bernard, and he plans to basically drain Cynthia of her blood and use that blood to restore Margaretta. He's in full mad scientist vibes here.
Yeah, it's a little out of nowhere, but
So Kurt, remember Kurt? He goes and he gets the milk tested, and the doctor who he's with is there's enough poison here to kill a horse. That's the only line in the scene. He's oh shit. So he runs to go help Cynthia, breaks inside the house, rescues Cynthia. He ends up fighting with Bernard, and they knock over some candlesticks that set the house on fire. Bernard is chasing and runs and falls off of a balcony. I forget what happens to Margaretta, but she burns up.
Yeah, it's actually not really well established what happens to her. You have to assume that she burned up, but yeah.
Yeah, but Kurt rescues Cynthia, and they get outside of the house. By the way, Martha had been given the night off, so she's not here at all.
Yeah, and also we don't know what happened to her.
Presumably she came back and was well, gotta find some new employment,
I guess.
So that's the end. So I really like this movie, but as Ben said, it shows rather than tells, almost to its detriment, because there are some things you kind of need to make leaps based off of the nuggets that the movie does give you, based off of what you know about movies of this ilk, both in terms of horror and giallo. And there are also some things that they're not going to explain, and you have to just kind of be okay with that.
Yeah. So nothing is ever really explicitly explained here. You have to piece it all together yourself. And what that mostly does is leave some holes in some character motivations. When I say nothing's explained, what I mean is the movie no one ever says in dialogue that Dr. Bernard Hitchcock is a necrophiliac. And no one ever explains what he's doing with his wife in the start of the movie, or what he's doing for most of the movie. But you have to just kind of look at the evidence and be well, whenever he sees a corpse, he gets real sweaty and starts feeling it up. And he has invented this anesthetic that he used on his wife. And whenever he used it on her, he would start feeling her up. And now that
and she knew he was injecting her.
Yes. Him and Margaret, it was a consensual thing. I don't really know what you get out of someone having sex with you when you're unconscious, but it was a consensual thing, you know? And so you kind of have to assume that like he comes back with Cynthia and he falls into old habits and he can't resist doing it to Cynthia and that kind of thing. But there are definitely some questions. Firing or like dismissing Martha like the night before the climax of the movie means that we don't really have a character who can explain anything left at the end of the movie to do these explanations. For instance, if Margaret survived and Martha kind of like nursed her back to health and she's been alive here on the grounds ever since, with Martha kind of pretending that she was Martha's crazy sister, why didn't Martha tell the doctor that? Because Martha was in on the whole deal. Like she was passing secret messages between the doctor and Margaret for their secret necrophilia.
I don't
kink.
think she knew the full extent.
Well, she was at least like doing the secret messages back and forth between them to arrange their little trysts, right? You got the sense that like the doctor trusted Martha with everything. So like, why in the past 12 years did Martha not mention anything? Then like the whole like I'm going to drain Cynthia of blood thing really comes out of nowhere. Why does Margaret look so bad? You know, just there's some holes and some character motivations here is what I'm saying.
But some nuggets that we do get is when Cynthia is out trying to investigate, like, am I being haunted or what's going on? She does see the back of a woman's head having tea with Martha. And it does seem to be like an older woman. And it's at that moment that I thought, oh, is Martha doing a, like, this is the skeleton of Margareta? But no, she ends up being alive. Not well, but alive. And there is another moment before Bernard goes, like he gets the milk from Martha.
Yeah.
And he says a line like, thank you for everything you've done for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of implying my first wife.
Yeah, it's all a little vague. All the clues do kind of like add up in a fair way. Like, oh, who's going around at night? Like, oh, it's Margareta. Like, whose shoes? Like, what's the identity of this or that? Like, things come together in that way. It's just kind of like no one ever explains themselves. So you have to kind of guess at like why certain things are happening. And you have to kind of be able to put together the visual clues of like, oh, he's a necrophiliac. That's why he's doing these other things and whatnot. I suspect that one reason why there aren't explanations and motivations said out loud is because I think that this is probably what helped them get it past the censors.
Oh, sure.
Like the fact that there isn't a character being like, ah, yes, Dr. Hitchcock liked to fuck dead people, I think probably really helped, like with no one raising an objection, because like on paper, without any dialogue about it, like,
yeah, it's never confirmed that he's the guy at the beginning.
Yeah, like it's just, you know, and so all we really see is like, oh, he injects his wife with something sometimes. Like there's a lot of other mad scientist, dead wife, injection, weird youth movies that like this fits a lot of things we've seen before, but it goes in a different direction with them. And I think the movie really succeeds with that different direction. I think it does the Gothic mystery stuff really well.
Yeah, I think the double-edged sword of not explaining is that, like, yes, it can be a little, like, confusing, but it really helps emphasize that nightmarish experience that Cynthia is in.
Exactly.
It really helps that, like, Gothic feeling of, like, this mystery goes deeper than you ever could think or imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, the Gothic stuff extends even just to, like, sure, the fact that we're in like 1880s or later London, but like the aesthetic of the movie itself, it's so Victorian, it's so moody, and there's so much color here.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing Gothic in color. Like, just look at Crimson Peak for like prime example of what Gothic in color can look like. And this movie, between its sets and then its like key lighting, whenever the necrophilia is coming up, there's just this spotlight of red, and it's so good. And the case that has the anesthetic in the house is also red.
Yeah. And there's like hallways like where she's wandering around in the crypts that are just like lit with green. Like
she finds a secret door and it's like normal lighting outside in like the hallway. And within the secret door is just this key light of neon green.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's safe to go into.
So like, yeah, this movie looks great. Fantastic cinematography, not just like all the color, but also like really great use of like blacks and shadows and like kind of like center framing things in the dark as she approaches. Fantastic costumes, really great, not really sets, but like, so they shot the mansion on location at a villa in Rome. But like it looks convincingly Victorian, like everything's painted in that Victorian green color. Really great mood and atmosphere all throughout.
The costumes look great. I love that Margareta was in this like weird old bridal gown, even though that makes no sense. They were like, you know what? We're not even going to explain it. Here's this costume for no reason. Like the outfits that Cynthia gets put into. Looks so good.
Fantastic costumes. I think as much as this movie's kind of like looking backwards to the Hammer style, there are elements in this that feel like they are looking forwards towards like films like Suspiria and stuff.
I was going to call out Suspiria as well because I got to see Suspiria in a very unique experience for the very first time in a theater with Goblin playing the soundtrack.
Yes.
It was so unique seeing Suspiria, which is like 70s.
Yeah, late 70s.
But my context for Italian horror were things like Black Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I was like, how do we get there? I want to see. And this movie is like, sees that transition leading to Suspiria. And I think it's also bringing Giallo back into horror.
Yeah, absolutely. I think big elements here to call out are, yes, that color, cinematography, the set design, like the way that like art direction feels really important. And then just like thematically, like it's a pretty brunette girl wandering around a seemingly infinite mansion trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah. No one explaining anything.
Exactly. I really like the twist in the formula that both Cynthia and Bernard are being haunted. Like, she goes through the first act and she's getting haunted by the ghost of his dead wife, and she's going to him and she's being like, it's the ghost of your dead wife. And he's doing like pretty standard horror movie stuff of being like, you're just imagining it. But then like in the second act, like he gets haunted by Margaret for a while and like is all scared and running around and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I really liked that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say him being haunted by the necrophilia.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's that too.
I think that the necrophilia and particularly the use of the red light adds such a weird element into this Gothic tale that I think it just like elevates it. It doesn't feel like two disparate things trying to mush together.
No.
It feels like, just elevates it to an even greater degree.
It's funny because like they don't get to talk about the necrophilia in dialogue, right? So you can make the argument that it's still kind of like implied more than explicitly stated. But in comparison to movies in the past, I feel like the Doctor's necrophilia is like the more honest version of these kind of like mad scientists trying to keep his dead wife alive stories that we've been seeing like since the 40s.
Sure.
Right? Like this really feels like the more natural story in a way. It's like, this makes sense. This guy's psychology to me makes sense. I think despite his best efforts, Richard Flemyng is actually quite good in this.
So I have to just like quickly say he looks so much like Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, really? I thought he was like sort of
mixed with like James Caan a little bit.
To me, he looked like Peter Cushing mixed with Richard E. Grant, which like makes sense if they're trying to copy Hammer.
I can see that. I think when Bernard is going off the walls, whether it's with necrophilia or when he's like, we're gonna gut you and take your blood and blah blah blah, like I think he does a really good job because he doesn't overplay his hand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I found that he fell flat on what I'll call normal scenes.
Interesting. I felt that he did a really good job of understanding that his character is a son of a bitch. Like, he did a really good job of understanding, like, this guy's an asshole. There's a lot of, like, Bernard going to and from the house and the hospital so that there are reasons for Cynthia to be left alone. But every time he's like, they'll spend 30 seconds together. He'll, like, come home from work, sit down, have a smoke, and after, like, a little bit of awkward silence, he'll be like, I have to go to the hospital again. And, like, go up and
look at those dead bodies again.
And he'll go up and leave. And I think Flemyng, for me, really got across the idea that, like, this guy's an asshole. He doesn't treat his wife well. Like, even if he wasn't a necrophiliac, like, he really gets across that kind of specific, like, upper crust, privileged Victorian husband thing where it's like, I should be able to do whatever I want and not answer any questions of yours. And I think he really understood the guy's psychology. At least it felt like to me. And I feel like what it was as much as he thought, oh, I'll do a bad job in this on purpose, there's almost like he's such a professional actor that he just can't help, like...
Well, it's like with Golden Age Hollywood. Like, there's just going to be a baseline of good.
Exactly.
Like, this guy's been acting for so long. And I think also because he's used to the theater, his version of, like, well, I'm not going to do a good job with theatrical acting means that he's not going to be huge, right? He's not going to be projecting to the back row.
Right. Like, if he's underacting in a theater context, it plays more just like regular film acting is kind of the argument.
Yeah. Kind of like speaking to that psychology bit, I feel like this is yet another movie that is showing that psycho influence.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, the way that we have this mystery of, like, who is this woman? Who is this ghost? Because I also was thinking, like, is Martha dressing up in the outfit? You know, because she's never, like, fully there, but then suddenly she's, like, lurking in the corner.
Yeah.
And I also, like, I see what you mean about Hammer horror, but I also feel like Roger Corman is becoming more of an influence here.
Oh, yeah. This is trying to be a Poe movie, I think.
Yeah.
Like, especially looking at the way it uses, like, color and the way it talks about psychology and the way it has, like, the little weird nightmare scenes and stuff.
Because I think about Hammer horror with, like, Dracula or Frankenstein, and it's, like, in terms of, like, art direction with, like, being very colorful or being very, like, here we're making a point with the art direction. Like, they don't really, like, they push the envelope, but not in the way that this movie is clearly. I feel like there's a different influence that this movie is pulling from that helps them go as far as they do in this movie. And I think that other influence is Corman.
I think I totally agree with you because Corman's the one using color in specific creative artistic ways. I think the pull from Hammer is mostly like making sure the décolletage of your babes is on, like, full display.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's, like, a reason that Margaret is this guy's first wife. And, well, there's two reasons, I guess.
I think that, like, one of the other parts of that double-edged sword I said about the movie not really explaining is that the sound is a little rough at times. You know, some people, not everyone is good at ADR. Yeah,
that's true.
And so I appreciate that there wasn't a lot of explaining scenes because sometimes the delivery just fell so flat. Like, there are some lines that the actress who plays Martha delivers that just, like, girl, like, I don't know what you're trying to do, but
I mean, I don't want this to sound mean, but I think Barbara Steele is better the less she talks. Like, I don't think she really works that well for me when she's having to deliver dialogue, but she's very good at looking beautiful and scared, which is kind of like the important thing. And I think this movie almost works best when it's being a silent movie. Like, the music's really good. It's not always edited well, like into the soundtrack. Like, there are times where the music just suddenly stops on a cut rather jarringly.
But they play with diegetic and not diegetic, which, you know, I fucking love.
Yes.
And they have these reoccurring leitmotifs of piano because Margareta was a piano player.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love it. It's like the music is haunting them before they even start having like an actual haunting.
Yeah. The score here is done by a guy named Roman Vlad, who is...
Real name?
It can't be. So I did some research into this guy to try and find out what his real name was, because I was like, that can't be a real name. And, you know, Robert Hampton isn't Riccardo Freda's real name, right? And the Wikipedia page for Roman Vlad doesn't give a different name, but it does give a bit about him being like a composer from Romania who moved to Italy. And if he's from Romania, his name is definitely not Roman Vlad, because that would be me being like, yes, my birth name on my birth certificate is Canuck Joe. Like, no, that's not how Romanian names work. Like,
but it would explain why he chose that as a fake name to use here.
Yes, totally. I guess he also did the music in I Vampiri.
Okay.
So he's worked with Freda before, so that's why he's here, right? But like, yeah, great score. I think the editing of this movie is a little weird in spots, but it's also kind of normal for this era of Italian film, where there's like occasionally cuts that just make you go like, what? Where there's like no flow from scene to scene, but that just kind of happens sometimes in these old Italian movies.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like the cuts, like the editing is doing the work of making you draw connections. Like when he first injects his wife, I think it's like this, if we see him inject his first wife like a few times, and maybe during like the second one, he injects her, and then we suddenly cut to him like finishing up at a surgery.
Yeah.
And it feels very jarring, but that's what makes you go, right, this is anesthetic. Just like further underlining the point that they're trying to get across.
For sure. I do think that a very good point could be made that Bernard's not a very good doctor.
Yeah.
Because this is a dude who invented an anesthetic, figured out the dose that he needed to turn his wife, you know, limp as a corpse so that he could pretend fuck her as if she was dead, right? And then one day just decided to give her like double the dose for no reason that we ever learn, because
have longer time.
I suppose.
Because it's said, like, we don't know how long it's going to last.
And then...
Gotta go fast.
But then he gives her the double dose and she, quote unquote, dies. And he's like, well, I guess she's dead, and buries her. And then we find out that no, she was just in a coma. So like, dude invents his own anesthetic, isn't really sure what a safe dose is, can't tell the difference between someone who's been dosed with it and someone who's dead, which I mean, I guess that's the point for him, but like...
But also like the trauma.
I'm just saying
trauma, Ben.
I'm just saying he's not a very good doctor.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say, yeah.
In terms of, you were, you know, in the intro talking about like Hitchcock, the guy, Alfred Hitchcock, and like what's his connection with our fictional Dr. Hitchcock. There is one very prominent Hitchcock reference in this movie, which is the poisoned milk and him like walking with the tray with the poisoned glass of milk on it. That's a very famous moment from the movie Suspicion by Hitchcock. Of course, they don't do the same thing here that they do in Suspicion, which is Suspicion's in black and white. So famously, Hitchcock lit the glass of milk kind of like from within in that movie so that it would glow a little bit as a visual sign to the audience that it was poisoned, so that the audience would pay attention to the milk. Here we see him go to the bathroom and dump fucking 170 milliliters of arsenic into it or whatever. So we know it's poisoned. But the fact that there's this like long tracking shot of him carrying the poisoned milk on the tray is like, that's a very famous Hitchcock moment. So I think that was deliberate.
Yeah. Do you think Riccardo Freda has a cameo in this movie at all?
I don't think so.
Yeah? Not as like one of the medical students or something?
No, I know what Freda looks like, and the Italians only put good-looking people in their movies.
Oh, that's so mean.
Oh, I didn't mean to be mean to Freda. I just mean that like he's like middle-aged and like balding and like has like little glasses, and like he's not one of the med students. The med students are all like male, like, you know, Italian fashion models.
I mean, that's fair. Do you have anything else to say about this movie?
No, I just really liked it.
Yeah, I also really liked it. I would highly recommend people try to find a copy to watch it, because like it's vital viewing if you want to see how Italian horror movies get to Suspiria.
Yeah, I think so too. So where are you looking for ranking this title?
Well, you called out some spots in the first half, but just to call them out again. So, some of our top ranking Italian horror movies are Black Sunday at number 26. We covered that in episode 302. And Celtiki at ranked number 60 from episode 276.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this more than Black Sunday.
Okay.
I think the unfortunate thing about this movie is that it should tell a little bit more than just show.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking too far up, but there's The Curse of the Werewolf at 24, also with color, also very like set in like a period piece. I could potentially put this movie over Curse of the Werewolf, but then there's The Innocents, and I'm like, I don't think that this movie is better than The Innocents, with how tight The Innocents is. I really like the way that they handle the haunting and the psychological elements, and it's also like very clear what she's fucking talking about, while still being boundary pushing. So my ceiling is 24, and then as I looked down, I didn't look too far down. My eyes went to Homicidal at 31. And I was like, that movie I really enjoy. But I think that Castle's gimmick really hinders it. And I think that in the same way that The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock has things that hinder it. But I think that like it at least doesn't stop the movie to try to do a gimmick, So my range is 24 to 31.
Okay. My range is yours shifted 2 spots higher.
Okay.
It's like otherwise the exact same range. I also looked towards Black Sunday, La Maschera del Demonio. I wasn't sure if this was better or worse. That's kind of Baba's first movie without Freda. This is Freda's first movie without Baba. So like I compared them. I really love the color cinematography here.
Yeah.
Right above that, I was seeing the same titles you did. I felt that this wasn't better than Isle of the Dead. I could have put it above Taste of Fear, but I was like, no, Isle of the Dead is chef's kiss.
No one can leave the island.
Right.
Sorry.
Exactly. Going down the other way, I was like, I think this is better than Quatermass Experiment. So I was looking 22 to 29. So very much like the exact same range, just shifted up a little bit. Given that you said you didn't want to go higher than The Innocents, I think the spot to put this is at 24, below The Innocents, above Curse of the Werewolf.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Curse of the Werewolf takes a little too long to get to what we want to see.
Yeah.
I was torn because of The City of the Dead. I really enjoy that movie. I think it does a really good job of being succinct and being spooky and really telling a very unique story. But I think the art production of The Secret of Dr. Hitchcock really pushes it forward.
I think that we have really hit on something with identifying this as like a missing link in Italian horror movies. And I think that makes it more important than City of the Dead, if that's an argument you can make.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, then entering the list at the new number 24 is L'Orribile Segreto del Dr. Hitchcock from 1962, directed by Riccardo Freda.
To be clear, Dr. Hitchcock's horrible secret is the necrophilia.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you would like to see this list, you can go to our website, screamscenepodcast.com. There you can find links to the other episodes that we have mentioned today, as well as our appeals box. If you would like to contest this or any other ranking, we would love to hear from you, and you can reach out to us through our Ask Box on Tumblr, through email at screamscenepodcast@gmail.com, or through Patreon or Blue Sky.
Scream Scene updates every other Wednesday on SoundCloud, and you can catch us on almost any podcasting app. But if you want to make sure you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to our RSS feed. If you'd like to help the show out, share us online, over the water cooler, just tell people about the show if you think they'd be into it. Or if you really like what we do, you can always help us out financially by heading over to patreon.com/screamscene. Scream Scene Podcast. You can become a patron of the night for as little as $1 a month. Patrons at the $5 level get access to bonus audio content. Patrons at the $10 level get access to bonus written content. If you sign up to the Patreon, you get access to like everything we've already put up there. Just a huge archive of content. So yeah, if you want more Scream Scene in your life, including like music and audiobooks and actual plays and all kinds of neat, cool stuff, head on over to patreon.com/Scream Scene Podcast.
So, Ben, what are we watching next week?
Next week, Sarah, we're back to Roger Corman and Edgar Allan Poe stuff with Tales of Terror, a Poe anthology. 3 stories, 1 movie. They all star Vincent Price.
Well, speak of the devil and he shall appear, huh?
Indeed.
Well, we will see you then, creatures of the night.
Bye.
Bye.